Now, from the Ford Sports Desk, KOMU 8 Sports.
The Missouri Tiger football team is in Athens, Georgia, ahead of tomorrow evening's 6:30 kickoff against the unbeaten and number 4 Georgia Bulldogs. KOMU's Joey Schneider is live outside Sanford Stadium with this preview. Joey, what do you got for us?
The Missouri Tigers just have one win against the Georgia Bulldogs since joining the SEC in 2012. However, that victory did come here at Sanford Stadium. It was a 41-26 defeat of the Bulldogs, but they're a much different team since then, and that's starting with the offense. Nick Chubb on the rushing attack, leading all rushers this year with over 600 yards. He's also got 8 touchdowns at that, too. And he's got a good handcuff with Sony Michel, who has over 400 yards himself. But one thing that they do really well is including the passing game. Jake Fromm already has 10 touchdowns this year. 5 of them have gone to Terry Godwin, who is actually a junior for the Georgia Bulldogs right now. On the defensive side, the Georgia Bulldogs have not allowed more than 19 points this year. So the Missouri Tigers have a tough challenge ahead of them, considering that they just eclipsed that mark last week. We will have more updates and coverage for you tomorrow over the pregame. That will be on KOMU 8 News Today. I am Ben Burke. We'll be here at Georgia. Reporting live from Athens, Georgia, Joey Schneider, KOMU 8 Sports.
We're going to head over back to Georgia. KOMU's Joey Schneider joins us from Athens with a couple of Georgia tailgaters. Yeah, definitely. Let's go over there, Joey.
It's a little overcast, it's a little humid today, but we're here in Georgia, and there's some awesome tailgates going on. I'm here with Pat Kelley, a Georgia native. And, Pat, can you just tell us a little bit about what you have set up at this tailgate today?
Oh, yeah, sure. Good morning from Athens, Georgia. Now, it's early because the kickoff is, what, about 10, 12 hours from now, it seems like. So we're setting all up. We'll have a tailgate here right close to the campus. We're on campus, close to the stadium. We'll have probably about 100 plus tailgaters come here. We'll have television set up. We'll have great food and good times and family. Tradition's been here, tailgating this spot, I would say now, over 30 years.
Wow, over 30 years. That's incredible. What's been the staple as far as like being here 30 years and being able to like tailgate the same spot every year? Like, how much does that tradition mean to you?
Well, it means a lot to our families because our kids, when we first started tailgating here, we brought our children. Now our children have grown up and they're bringing their children. So we have probably 3 to 4 generations of kids, and we all gather here for every game.
Anything else that you'd like to add about the significance of tailgating today or another SEC matchup for Georgia on stake?
Well, tailgating is a real tradition here in Athens, as it is most SEC schools. But we really enjoy the family, the friends, and also this is sort of a hometown tailgate. We're all from mainly LaGrange, Georgia. So as as kids come here to school, they always know they can come here to bring all their friends for good times and good food.
Pat, thank you so much. We're going to send it back to the studio. Joey Schneider, KOMU 8 Sports.
We're going to send it back to our friends down in Athens, Georgia right now, covering the Mizzou game. Guys, what's it like out there?
Thanks, Jordan. It's an overcast day, as you can see behind us here at Sanford Stadium. Joey Schneider, Ben Burke. Now, when you're on the road against one of the top teams in the country, it's always going to be a tall task. Good. Missouri does have last week's solid offensive performance to look back on, even though it came in a loss. Joey, but against these Bulldogs, what do the Tigers need to do to get a W?
They got to get some momentum going early, and that could be in the form of defense or offense or whatever. You saw that they kind of fell behind a little bit quickly in Kentucky last week, and when that happened, even with a good second half, they weren't able to regroup enough in order to pull off a victory or even maybe bring it to overtime. So obviously, Georgia is a little bit different, being the number 4 ranked team in the country than Kentucky, but certainly the more you can kind of maybe get that huge defensive stop early or maybe go and score a touchdown in the first drive, like that makes a huge difference in trying to compete with this team.
Yeah, and looking back to that Missouri-Auburn game, Missouri's probably arguably worst loss of the season. I remember Auburn's first play was a 40 or 50-yard pass. So, Missouri, you definitely have a point there. The Tigers need to get out to a quick stop, but they also have to shut down Nick Chubb. If you remember, 3 years ago when Georgia was in Missouri, when the Tigers thought they were going up against Todd Gurley, ended up going against Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb ran all over them. Don't want a repeat of that. They've been able to stop Sony Michel and Chubb in the past, but they got to do that again today.
Absolutely right. That running game is so tough for the Georgia Bulldogs. They got ways that they can just go at you. They're really two-dimensional. They can catch a ball quickly on the fly if they need to. They can kind of run and find that outer pass and really go in or out and just kind of know what they got to do in order to beat a lot of these defenses that are really high in the country.
All right, that'll do it for us. We'll have coverage of the game tonight and tomorrow. But for now, reporting live from Athens, Georgia, Joey Schneider, I'm Ben Burke, KOMU 8 Sports.
First possession, and they go with the running game, but it's not Nick Chubb or Sony Michel. It's Miracle Hardman, and he finds the zone and sprints 35 yards into the end zone, 7-0 Bulldogs. And we see Ugga on the field right there. Mizzou had 3 and outs on their first 2 drives, but later in the quarter, linebacker Tailgater reads the throw from Jake Fromm and picks it off, his second interception in as many weeks, and he brings it to the 5-yard line. This play sets up Drew Locke with a shovel pass to Albert Awubakuman for 4 yards. Mizzou ties the game with Georgia at 7. Only takes a few minutes for Georgia to respond. Riley Ridley receives Fromm's pass, 19 yards. Nice grab on the outside back shoulder fade. Georgia 14-7 after the quick response. That was part of the streak where the Tigers and Bulldogs scored touchdowns on 5 straight possessions. Mizzou joined in on the fun as well as Drew Locke sends one deep to Emmanuel Hall. This one covered 63 yards of the field for the touchdown. As Hall beats the safety, and he had a nice night, 141 receiving yards out in the afternoon, tied at 21. But this would lead to Georgia eventually scoring 23 unanswered points. From there, Sony Michel was part of that with 2 touchdowns on the night, and the Bulldogs win their homecoming game 53-28. The Tigers have only defeated the Bulldogs once.
In Georgia to battle the Bulldogs in SEC play on Saturday night. The Missouri Tigers, of course, had suffered a loss against Kentucky a week ago on the road, and we're trying to get back in the win column, albeit in a difficult place, Athens, Georgia. KOMU8's Joey Schneider takes us through another road trip for the Tigers and their offense in Athens, Georgia, which might actually offer positives going forward.
The Tigers felt confident in their game plan when they elected to receive the opening kickoff between the hedges, but didn't fall in place immediately with 2 3-and-outs to open the contest.
I was hoping we could get a little more pressure there early on a couple things, and it didn't happen.
With some help from the defense, the Tigers started their 3rd drive in the red zone and kept close with 3 consecutive touchdowns against the Bulldogs.
We were going to take our shots. We were going to go at them. I think we saw that. We started adjusting a little differently. We adjusted as well.
At the 37-yard line, that's a long distance to cover, but Drew Locke did that twice with 2 passes to Emmanuel Hall. Locke also had a pair of touchdowns to 2 tight ends.
When you beat the DB a couple times deep, they start dropping. That leaves, underneath passes like comeback and things like that wide open. And I think we did a really good job of exposing, their DBs a little bit.
Keeping up with the SEC's second highest rushing offense was a different story, as Mizzou rushed for a season-low 59 yards.
Sometimes, it's going to fall in the hands of maybe the passing game, and sometimes it might even fall in the hands of the running game.
And with the health of young playmaker Demaria Crockett to be determined, where exactly does the offense go from here?
We just got to hit those underneath passes, and we got to make more plays to win games. We need to work better on getting that first down. I feel like when we get that first down, we move the ball pretty well.
It's hard to walk out after a defeat like that and feel good about much of anything, but we're making progress in a lot of areas that I was waiting to see. We're far from being where we need to be, but I'm also excited about making a push for these last 6 games, see where we can end up.
With the last top 25 opponent off schedule, the offense will look to sustain its momentum in back-to-back non-conference games. Joey Schneider, KOMU 8 Sports, Athens, Georgia.
Joey, thank you very much. Joey mentioned Missouri's next couple of games out of conference. Mizzou will host Idaho in the Tigers' homecoming game Saturday morning at 11 at Furrow Field, and then make a trip to Connecticut to play the Huskies. That game time will be determined tomorrow. That game will be played Saturday, October 28th.